73 over here. So 73 is somewhere about here. But if you look, it's also somewhere about over here. So it's 73 degrees from your 0 point. So whichever side you're taking as your 0 point, that's where you measure up to 73. Because remember, the whole thing has to go to 180. So don't come over here and make that 73 like that, or don't come over here and make that 73. All right, because this is 90, so you can't have an obtuse angle. Remember, you got to think about things too. So just remember, 73, think about the acute and obtuse and right angles and straight angles, what they are. And 73 fits within an acute angle. All right, and then just connect the line. And so this is 73 degrees. Or I connect it over here. This is 73 degrees. All right, so then construct an... Oh, I messed up. Sorry. Okay, so I didn't read the whole question. See, I'm hanging around with you guys too much. All right, so you have to construct... Let me hit pause and erase that. All right, so you made your 73 degree angle. All right, and so now you got to take your protractor. All right, so the first thing, I'm just going to call this, all right, we'll call this, call the vertex A. All right, and we're just going to make a point here. It doesn't matter what you call it, but the first thing we do have to do, just draw a line. Doesn't matter how far. All right, and we're going to call this point A prime. Okay, so we can call it whatever we want. All right, and so remember, all right, I fixed my protractor. All right, so now I can actually really do it. And so you put one end on the vertex, and then you put it wherever you want. And then just draw it like this, okay? And now you're going to have to show that arc on your paper so I know you're actually you're using this compass, all right? And so you take that length, whatever you had decided, and so whatever it is, you start at your new vertex, right? And you just go like this, approximate. All right, then you go from, all right, let's call this point B and point C. Okay, that right there, that right there. So we're going to call this B prime. All right, so now we got to measure this. Oh, it looks like it's the same. So measure that length. Then wherever you put it on your B prime, and you just go like that. That point is your C prime, and then you want to use a straight edge. All right, I don't have a straight edge here. So you go from your new point, there. Now we know that that's 73 degrees. All right, so now they're congruent. All right, so I left it. So now, same thing. We have a 60 degree angle, and now we have to make one that's congruent. I mean, yeah, we have to make two congruent. We have to make the bisector so that the resultant is congruent. You have two congruent angles. Okay, now remember, two congruent means what? It's going to end up being two equal angles, right? So the bisector, remember, splits it in half. So we're going to make something that splits it in half. All right, this is number 27. So same thing, go wherever you want, doesn't matter. And just remember, I just randomly put it here. The whole thing though is to be consistent, make a nice arc. And then you can leave this at the same measure, it doesn't matter. All right, you can change it if you want. Now, depending upon how big you make it, you may have to change it because of the paper, all right? So you just put here, put it at that, where it intersects there, go like that. And where that arc intersects here, go like this. All right, and where those lines meet, that's your bisecting ray. Triangle bisector, so right there. So this will be 30, and this will be 30, but that whole thing is 60. All right, so that's how you do it. So remember, if you have any trouble, all right, so that's 27. All right, so we're up to 28. So there's LM, and they want a perpendicular bisector. All right, so it's perpendicular, which means it forms 90 degrees. Bisector, it means it's going to cut this Is it going to cut that line in half? No, the line segment, right? So you want to estimate roughly what approximately looks like the midpoint, all right? And right about here, it doesn't matter if you're off, because we're just doing an estimation right now, so we know how big to make the compass, right? So you can make it anywhere from there to there, right? So it doesn't matter. So the same thing, depending upon paper size, we want to go underneath the midpoint, do an arc, try not to move the compass like I did like this. But the key now is to leave the compass the same measure, put it on the other end point, all right? And where they intersect, you go from this intersection to this intersection, and that was close. I might have swerved it. So here, now we know that's directly in the middle, and there's your perpendicular bisector. Because it's a line segment, remember, if it's a line, it can't be a perpendicular bisector because it runs off forever, so there's no end point to find a middle. All right, it's like God existed forever in the past, so there was no beginning for him, right? Right, and it's just like we're going to exist for those who are followers of Jesus. They're going to live forever in the future, so there's no end. And so listen to that verse, that hymn, Amazing Grace. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as a sun, we have no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun, because we're going to live forever. So even after 10,000 years, you still have forever to go. All right, so we're not even closer to the end. So it exists forever. All right. All right, so 29, sketch angle B on paper. All right, so in other words, just roughly estimate. So look what kind of angle it is. All right, so as long as you make that kind of angle, it doesn't matter if you're really close to it or not. It's not really that important. All right, because it says sketch, so it's saying, hey, here's a rough estimate. All right, so just, it's an acute angle. So draw any acute angle. Extra credit if you put a smiley face on it. No. All right. Construct an angle congruent to angle B. Didn't we do that? Construct a bisector angle from part A. All right. So this is like a combination of what we already did. So we construct an angle that's congruent. We did this already, but I'll just do it again real quick. All right. So here is B prime. All right, if you want to, I don't really want to do this one again, but all right, doesn't matter. All right, and so that's what matters, this part here. So you go like this. All right, take this like that. Oh, I forgot to do this one. Oh. So roughly, so now B and B prime are congruent to each other. Then we have to form the bisector of those two. So the same thing, remember, it doesn't really matter how you put this. For the most part, it doesn't matter. Like that. Like that. Remember, the key, though, is to use the same measurement. Right there. All right, you should use a straight edge. I'm just doing it real quick just to get through with it. All right, because we're almost done here. All right, so here's 30. All right, -1.504. You don't actually have to draw this. All right, you don't have to do this at all. I mean, I'm only doing it just to make it easy for you guys to see. But remember, it's the distance formula you learned today. So remember, the whole thing is consistency. Whatever you call x1, make that y1. Whatever you call x2, make that y2. So I'm going to make this x1 0 minus -1 squared plus 4 minus 5 squared. All right, so we have 1 plus -1 squared, the square root of that, so it goes to the square root of 1 plus 1, square root of 2. All right, then you want to do the calculator. I don't know what it is offhand, but that's the length of that, square root of 2. It's a little more than 1. All right, square root of 4 is equal to 2. So it's going to be somewhere between 1 and 2. All right, remember, there's 10. So it's going to be 1. So in other words, 2 significant figures. 1 point something. All right, just that one digit. All right, so the same thing. You don't need to plot the points. All right, so it's -1 and -1. And 6 and 2. All right, this is number 31. All right, so do the same formula. All right, so this time I'm going to pick square root of 6 minus -1 squared plus 2 minus -1 squared. So it's 6 plus 1 squared plus 2 plus 1 squared, which is equal to the square root 7 squared plus 3 squared. So 49 plus 9, square root of 58. All right, 8 is 64. 749. So somewhere between 7 and 8. All right. Maybe about 7.5. Remember, one decimal point, so 2 significant figures. All right, the next one. -7 and 0. Remember, it's x here, y here. That's how all the coordinate with another point, ordinate, point, with. Together with points together. Okay, and 5, 8. 5, 8. All right, so right away you can get the hang of this and get a feel for which number should go where. All right, so if we want to do the subtraction so we get positive numbers, all right, I'm going to skip steps here. Just some of the basic steps. So remember, the formula is the same every single time. All right, so we have 5. I'm picking the x2. You can pick whatever you want for x2. All right, I'm choosing 5 because I know when I subtract the -7, it becomes a positive number. So 5 minus -7 becomes 5 plus 7. All right, plus 8 minus 0 becomes 8. So the square root of 12 squared plus 8 squared, 144 plus 64, which is the square root of 208. I don't know what that is. All right. We could kind of figure it out. So 100 times, I'm masturbating now so we can get a rough estimate of our answer. 100 times 2 is 200, right? And so it's roughly 200. This is just to get an estimate. So this way you can check yourself. So square root of 100 times square root of 2. So it's just 10 times square root of 2. That's roughly the answer. This isn't the answer. It's approximately the answer because I made it 100 times 2, which would give 200, not 208, because I knew this could break down to 10. But this is going to be close. So whatever this is, your answer is actually going to be a little bit higher. Not much higher, just a little bit. All right? I don't know how much. All right, so let me hit pause. All right, so we have to find, so here's the next one. This is number, I should have been labeling these for you guys in case you want to skip ahead. But this is 33. All right. So we have to find the midpoint, the coordinates for the midpoint, and the, I don't know if this drawing is actually accurate, just did it real quick, all right? So I don't know how close to the origin, the center, the graph really is. All right, so we got to find the coordinate points for the midpoint and the distance. So it doesn't matter which one. The distance is the length, meaning the length of this line. So so 33 is we'll find a midpoint. So you're going to add, so minus 3 plus, you're adding the lengths, okay? You can't, you're basically, you have to figure out the x length. It's looking at an absolute value thing. If you go to, give me a second. All right, I think I'm getting tired. My brain's not working right. All right, so to find, you're adding the points together and dividing by 2 to find the midpoint. So the x's. So 3 plus minus 3. So 3 minus 3 divided by 2. This is our x midpoint. We're finding the midpoint right now. This is what you do. It's just x1 plus x2 divided by 2. It doesn't matter what you call x1 or x2. Just remember, be consistent. So 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. So that means it goes right through the origin. So our x point is actually right there. All right, so the y is the exact same thing. Instead of x, it's y1 minus y2, or plus y2. So minus 2 plus 2 over 2, it's 0. So it's still 0. All right, so it does actually pass right through the origin. All right, it actually makes sense because it's going down 2 and it's going up 2, so they cancel each other out. It's going over 3 and it's going over 3. If you think about these, a lot of times you could just kind of figure out the answer. All right, so so it does pass right through the origin. All right, so now we want to find the length. Okay, so to find the length, it's basically what the distance formula just learned. All right, so 3 minus negative 3, so the square root, so remember distance is equal to, so our origin, our x point and y point, so it's coordinate point 0, 0. All right, so 3 minus negative 3 is 3 plus 3 squared plus minus 2, because remember I made this I made this either x1, and so that has to be y1, or x2, y2, it doesn't matter. All right, minus 2 squared, so we have 9 squared plus 4 minus 2, it's negative 4 squared, the 4's cancel out. All right, right away, you guys should recognize this. No, it's not, never mind. All right, I was thinking of something else. All right, so it's, wait, 3 plus 3 is 6. Why didn't you tell me? All right, so we have 36 plus 16, square root of that. And so that goes to what? 52? Square root of 52. So 4 times 4, 16. So 7, right? Square root. 7 squared is equal to 49. So this is going to be a little more than 7. I mean, if you want to calculate it. So, all right, last problem. All right, you know what? That's going to be the last problem because 35 to 37, I'm not going to ask you one like those. They're a little more in depth, and we really didn't do them. So, if you want to know how to do them, just ask me tomorrow. Okay, kiddies. All right, so I'll see y'all tomorrow. God bless y'all. All right, good night for you guys anyway.